We're going to do the start-stop program. The first thing we need to do is load in the starter program. So we go File, Open, and we'll pick Part1.stu. It loads in. So on the left we have the project browser, on the right we have the screen. Navigate down to where you see Program, open it up until you see Sections. I'm going to right click on Sections and go New Section. We're going to pick a language of LD for ladder and give it a name. I can't start with a number. I can use capitals. I'm going to give it a name which relates to what it is. So I can't use spaces. I can use the underscore, or I could just use capitals to separate. Click OK, and the screen for creating the ladder diagram is created. Make it larger. Now that I have this screen up, we see that the toolbar has now changed. This is the select mode. Then we have the first row section here, which is the input contacts. The next section is the coils. Then we have the section for drawing lines, and down here in this section we have an area for creating function blocks within a ladder. The link tool for drawing lines between objects, and comments. So for our start-stop ladder we're going to need a normally open contact. Click on the screen and there's a normally open contact appears. We're going to need 3 of those, so let's put them all on now. We're going to need a coil. Put that on the right hand side. And need a vertical connection, and we'll click that into place. Sometimes you find it goes to the wrong spot, so I can delete that out if I didn't want it there. So sometimes when you click it, goes, you think it's in the right spot but it's not. Just hit the delete key, put it in the right spot, and there we go. Now we need to name our contacts, give them variable names. I can double click on the contact. Now this is going to be our start variable. There's several ways I can do it. I can actually just type it in, but I have to be careful that I spell it right, because the variable names need to match the variables which relate to our operator screen. The much preferred method would be to say double click on the contact, click on this grey button with the 3 dots. Now your screen may look like that. You can open it up so you can actually read all of the names. Go down the list till we find the stop and click OK, and then OK, and our contact is labelled. We need to label the coil. Pick that off the list. Let's pump. There it is there, pump. OK, OK, and this contact here is also labelled pump. We've got the ability that the program will remember the last 20 objects that we used. So if I click the down arrow here, I can pick pump off and then use that. There's our program. Notice how the stop contact is a normally open and not a normally closed as the circuit is. Have a think about why that is. Here we have our electrical circuit of our start-stop circuit. The stop button is normally closed so that we maintain fail-safe in our electrical wiring. Here we have a diagram showing how the electrical connections of our start and stop push buttons connect to the PLC program. The PLC program has a normally open for the stop in the program, so that when we connect up our normally closed switch to the digital input, we have a connection through that stop button, so that when we push the start button, the program will latch through the pump contact off the pump output. That way, when we open the stop by pushing the stop push button, our program will unlatch the pump output. As I said, it's important not to confuse the program, which does look like a circuit, with the connections that are connecting to the PLC. Next step is we need to convert our program from this graphical representation to a language that the PLC is going to understand, and that's done using the build command. So we click on rebuild all project, and it goes through the process of building the project, and we look down in the output window and it tells us that we have no errors and no warning. And also down the bottom we see the green label which tells us that our project is built. Now we go to PLC Connect. That's going to start up the simulator, which is going to simulate the actions of the PLC. Or down the bottom you'll see in the status bar that the status is showing us that the program in the simulator is different than the one on the screen. There's no config information and no upload info. So we're going to now go PLC transfer to the PLC. Just be careful, later on you'll have the option of transferring from the PLC. If you do that, you will overwrite your program that's on the screen. So we're going to transfer to the PLC. Up comes the version control. So we transfer to the PLC. Notice that all the contacts are shown in red. That means that they are off at this point in time. Our program is showing stop, which means that it's not running. We now need to go to PLC run and confirm run the project. Our project is running. The next step is to bring up the operator screen. So down here under operator screens, look for the start stop ladder. Now you can resize this if it comes up the wrong size. To make these buttons work, I'm going to push the F7 button, which isn't working on my computer. In that case, what I'll do is I'll go to Services and go Enable Modification. Notice how the buttons now are black. To simulate our operator screens don't have a normally closed push button. So to simulate the normally closed button that would be in the real world, I'm going to push my latching button here. Notice how the stop has now gone green, but there's no connection through because our start is still off. If I push the start button, notice how that where there's a connection, the lines go green. If I hold the start button, start is now green, and you get the latch through the pump. If I take off start, notice how the start is in red. If I take the stop off and then on again, simulating our push button normally closed switch, our system unlatches. Let's test it again. Unlatch, stop, and then restore the stop to normally closed. Now have a go at putting a start-stop program into your PLC program and then check the result, remembering that you're going to go build all the project. You're going to go PLC connect. It's showing disconnect because we're already connected. Then you're going to go transfer to the PLC. Then you're going to go run. You will find that some of the buttons across the top duplicate what's in the menus. So I can use the stop button over here. I can, if I make a change here, let's say if I was to actually put a normally closed in, I can do so, and then I can then build changes and go back into run mode. And of course this would be the wrong thing to do because we don't change our program to suit testing the hardware. We change the hardware to test the program. So I'm going to change that back to a normally open contact, like so. I'm now going to go build changes, And when I do this, you'll notice that the PLC continues running. I don't need to do all the connecting, etc. And our program is now working once again.